Luke, how important is a strong mentality in the sport?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially when you're on the big stage. You know, that's when the pressure is on your shoulders a lot more. And you know, as people have known with my anxiety when I went through that, I felt quite claustrophobic on the stage. I didn't really want to be there. It felt quite hard, but the way I've bounced back from that, it's made me mentally stronger than ever. And I think, you know, in certain games I've played in majors that I've won, I've been on the back foot, but I've had that never say die attitude. And that's a tough mentality to have, but I think that comes with experience. I think darts is 78% more mental than it is actually playing. If you're not going through a great turn of events in the PDC, that it can drag you back a little bit and you kind of feel like you're down in the dumps. But if you're always feeling happy and you kind of, your mentality's up there, yeah, it makes you a lot more stronger than the rest of the field.
You mentioned the difficult part of your career. I've always wanted to ask you, obviously my career kind of came to an end thrown-wise with the dartitis, never managed to recover. How did you get through that awkward part of your career?
I think I just sort of dragged myself through it in a way, to be honest. I think it's never easy. You don't just snap out of it quickly. It kind of takes a process that you have to allow. It's going to take at least a year. But I stayed strong. I fought through it. You know, I played through it as well. If I'd have just stopped playing and then come back, I don't think I'd have been the same player. I think for me the most important thing was I carried on, didn't stop, and played through it.
And advice to players, any players who are currently out there now, any new players, they're going to have difficult moments. What would be the key components for them going forward to recover from these kind of dips and these problems throughout?
I think just going back to, like I said, the strong mentality. You have to believe that not always going to be dark days. You know, as a professional, sometimes you do have them dark days, especially when you're under the limelight all the time, you're under pressure. Like where I'm stood now, I think everyone expects me to play absolutely unbelievable every time. Everyone expects me to win everything, and that does put pressure on your shoulders. But I feel like I've coped pretty well with it this year. I've won a lot of tournaments, so you know, for me, I think that mentality does take some time to get used to. But you can only learn with experience as well. I feel like experience does tell in the end.
And coming through that difficult period, is that the main contributing factor to becoming a multiple major champion and a world champion as you are now?
I honestly do believe it, yeah. I do believe that mentality that I overcome from the anxiety really did help me to become major champion and world champion as well. I think as you work yourself through the years, just that bit of experience you gain. You know, I was losing so many games 6-5 in my first couple of years, and now, you know, I'm winning them close games, I'm winning them last leg deciders. So, like I said, experience and mentality do shine through in the end.
Luke, pre-game nerves, something I didn't deal with very well. How do you cope with it in any game now?
The best way to deal with it is to relax into yourself. Like, I'm never a good starter, but I think relaxing into the first couple of legs does help you. Once you get into the game, I feel like after a couple of minutes, them nerves do go away. And I think that's why I'm a good player in such long formats, because once I'm settled in, that's when I can really hit the heights. But you know, I always feel like you get a little bit of nervousness at the start of the game, but after the first leg's done and dusted, especially if you win it, then nerves just disappear.
Any advice to players, up-and-coming players who are experiencing these nerves for the first time? As in, what would you do in the back room before you play a game?
Just decent breathing. I think just, you know, don't hyperventilate. That could be the worst thing you do. If you start panicking, then the nerves are going to come on harder. So for me, I think you just have to, you know, just decent breathing, exhaling, inhaling and stuff like that. And, you know, just embrace the fact that you probably will feel a little bit nervy at the start of the game, but you know, just once you've settled in and you're familiar with the surroundings of being up on the B stage, just to relax and you know, hopefully you win that first or second leg, and then you can run into it then.
Luke, we're going to talk about nerves on your professional debut. When I started, I didn't deal with it really well. I was very hasty. I was at the venue far too early. What can you remember from your debut?
Well, I remember my debut on the TV, which was against Jeff Smith in the World Championships, a prelim game. And I kind of felt like it was a free roll for me. I wasn't, you know, in the next year I was going to be a professional. This was a bonus from winning the development tour. I kind of felt like, you know, this is just a chance for me to get a little taste of what it's like on the TV stages. And I didn't actually feel as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I was nervy, but I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be, so it took me back a little bit. I thought, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But the walk-on was the terrifying part. You know, you've got a crowd of people sort of standing over you as you're walking through, like putting their arm out, and you're thinking, whoa, you know, this is unknown territory here. But you know, I felt like I played myself well within a decent game. You know, I didn't play my best, I lost, but I thought Jeff Smith's finishing was great. And as I moved on into my actual proper pro debut, it was against Wayne Jones in a Players' Championship, and I lost 6-5. I remember being a lot more nervous then, because I knew that, you know, this was the chance for me to start earning prize money on the tour and ranking money. When it got to 5-0, I noticed myself incredibly nervous. I didn't win the ball, so you know, when you're playing against someone and you're really nervous and you haven't got the throw, it's really hard. So yeah, it was just a good experience, and like I just said, you know, them sort of experiences you learn from. And then I kept losing 6-5 all the time in the future, to be honest, but you learn from their mistakes and you learn from their experiences, and it makes you a better person and a better player.